Hi and welcome to this tutorial where we are going to sew such a beanie with 6 folds, as you can see here. Usually beanies and beanie patterns out there come with 4 folds. This somewhat makes this piece unique since it's a bit different. So all you need is the pattern, which you can find on my website or in the link below in the description, the fabric of your choice, and the thread in the matching color. There are 2 formats of the pattern available. One is in A4 format that you can print out at home with your A4 printer and then tape the pieces together. Something that I'd like to mention is if you print it out at home, don't forget to print it out at 100% scale so the measurements are accurate, and you always have this test square where you can check if the scale is correct. To make it easier for you in the future to not be required to print out these A4 pages and tape them together, you could use like a transparent paper and such a copy wheel where you can just trace the pattern and have it on the transparent paper ready at hand. I hope that helps. There's also a larger format which you can print out at your local print shop to have it done in one piece. The tools you need is either a home sewing machine that can sew a straight line, as this one for example, or if you have a serger, that would work as well. Then you'd need like paper scissors to cut the paper pattern, fabric scissors to cut the fabric, or a rotary cutter, which comes very handy as well, and it's nice to handle on a cutting mat. For attaching the pattern to the fabric for cutting it out, those sewing clips also come really handy. So the first step after taping the pattern together is to check your head circumference, and then you can choose in the certain sizes, small, medium and large. And as a next step, you'd cut out the pattern, which will result in this. When it comes to fabric, I'd use something with stretch, and in my case I used a 100% cotton jersey in navy blue color. So once you have your cutout piece of fabric, you can fold it in half upwards and make sure to keep an eye on the grain line. Notice the grain line direction goes upwards here, which is indicated here on the pattern, and here's the greatest stretch. Next, you place the pattern on the fold of the fabric that you just folded in half, and fix it with these handy clips or stitch it together with pin needles. Alternatively, you could also use plates to put some weight on the pattern while cutting. So as a next step, cut out the fabric accordingly with scissors or a rotary cutter. So since we're done now cutting the fabric according to the pattern, we're going to fold the fabric sideways, where the right sides, so the nice side, is touching inside and the wrong side is outside. Always remember that we are only sewing on the wrong side. Then we are going to start adding the seam allowance. We do this by indicating the center of each arch, and we go in for like about 2 to 3/8 of an inch or half centimeter to 1 centimeter and draw lines accordingly. As for the main opening on the sides, we are going to draw a seam allowance along the whole side, but we are keeping a hole open to actually pull out the right side from that hole. And then do the first seam by sewing along the seam allowance that you've just marked. If you're using a home sewing machine, use the straight stitch with a stitch length of 2. Depending on the machine you're using, this value can differ, but you should generally be fine with 2. If you have a serger, you can also serge all of the seams we're doing in this tutorial. And now we'll repeat this step on the lower end. Congrats, the first step is done. Then we'll move on to the next pair of these arches and sew them together at the top and the bottom. Press it here to the center and sew this together here. So this was our first sewing line, and now we're going to sew the arches next to each other together. And then we're gonna sew this arch on top of it and the other one as well, and eventually we'll have the full beanie. And at last, sew together the last pair of arches, and now we get to the final step on the sewing machine. We sew the front and back seams together, where we are going to leave a hole somewhere within the lining section of the seam, so that you'll be able to turn the right sides out. I think just below the curve is good, so this way it will mostly remain hidden. Now we're almost finished. You just need to turn the inside out or pull it out through this little hole that you left open, and then we'll close the hole by hand stitching it on the edge so that you can't see the stitches. We'll place the lining inside the main layer of the beanie and attach the 2 layers together at the top with hand stitches so that the lining won't shift. And finally, just fold the brim of your beanie and then it's ready. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and hit the bell. Looking forward to the next video. Bye.